Well, good afternoon to both Scott Baker and Heidi Everett this afternoon. Happy Monday to you both.
Happy Monday, Mikey.
Monday, indeed, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Thanks to all of you joining us for another edition of Lead Better, our chance to talk about today's field note from Admired Leadership. It is field note 1628, and the title, a little bit longer than some, but not, I think you can handle it. You ready? Creating awareness about a problem or opportunity that others don't yet see. Okay, go.
Right. No, fantastic. Just the idea that, leaders need to be the kinds of people who see around corners, right? And
Yeah.
some of the best leaders we know are ones that just have foresight, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe the foresight is not the important thing here as much as being able to communicate that foresight, right? Them bringing you into the process is more important than them having the vision to see around the corners.
That's right. And the way that I really assessed it is also about how do you create a learning culture, right? One of our favorite words is curiosity. So as a leader, we may have really strong pattern recognition. We know, again, what's around the corner, but this is an opportunity to create that understanding within the team. And that's really the takeaway that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that learning culture, and there's a phrase in this field note that I like a lot, and I feel like I've only heard it a lot in the last couple of years. Now, maybe it did exist 10 or 20 years ago, and it's this phrase, sense making.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you hear it in sort of news and journalism worlds around, do we have trust in our sense making institutions, whether it's newspapers or academia or medicine or whatever it is. And I've heard a lot of people refer to it that way. But sense making is a thing that we do, and leaders are involved in that process with their team. And the whole kind of admonition in this field note is, even though you as the leader might be able to see around the corner, how can you, rather than telling everybody, hey, here's what I see, this is what we're going to do, can I get you involved in the process of sense making? And that makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Well, especially too in this world of maybe a little bit of over dependence on automation, right? Where it's important that we're building judgment and decision making strength and really competencies among our team and our staff. It's so important to figure out what are the right questions that we want to ask. At Admire Leadership, we talk a lot about those how questions, asking people to think more about what are not the lagging indicators, but the leading indicators. How did we get here, right? Really, what do you think? What's your perspective on this, instead of you just providing the answer right away?
Well, Mikey, I don't know how you have, you are probably the one that I always feel like is the one who's like, let's get everybody together to talk about this. It's just sort of your style. And I'm sure that there were points in time, whether it were your kids or the camps you were running and other things, where you knew this. I think the question that I have is, does the team know that you kind of have a direction of where you're going, or is it important for the leader to say, I think I know where we're going, but maybe by involving the team, we're going to figure out some stuff that I haven't seen? How legitimate does the request or the question from the leader need to be, as opposed to just being like, I'm going to pretend like I'm not like the one that's already figured this out?
Yeah. I get myself in trouble with that kind of thing because my wife accuses me of being able to talk my way into whatever I want.
Yeah, personal, guys.
It is.
So
I'm
like
already on her side. Like I'm in this story. I'm thinking she's on the right side here.
But if I have like a certain direction that I feel like this is the most common sense. So if you just kind of all saw it the way that I saw it, you would all be coming this direction, right? And so how do you get to the point where you're not advocating too quickly, but you are allowing them to have a moment of self-discovery so that they can see that it's true for themselves? Like, I don't want to be persuasive and convincing when I feel like I already know. So the trick is, even though it's not a trick, is like, how do you stay curious about it? Where you stay open yourself for the idea that even though it feels like I can see around the corner, maybe I'm not seeing very clearly. So can we actually go on this curiosity adventure together to actually say, what are we actually seeing here? And when it feels to me like I've got so much clarity here, I've got a lot of clarity, and I know you guys need to catch up. Like, number one, I don't want to sound condescending in any way. Just because, like, could you imagine if you really could see the future, how condescending you would sound?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if this is the 18th time that you've had this kind of conversation and you already know, right? Eventually, like, that kind of disdain for having the conversation over and over will leak out, right? So how do you not let that kind of thing leak out? If you actually are pretty good at having clarity where other people don't, you need to slow down and figure out how to, I don't know, in some ways mimic curiosity behaviors, right? Where you otherwise wouldn't have them.
Maybe Heidi, you disagree. I don't think you can. I think you actually have to be curious. I
Right.
think you can have an idea, but I think you have to express real curiosity and engage the team around that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Okay. So
And you want to be like we're doing now, right? Even this dialogue, like I'm really interested in what you have to say. Like, what's your actual perspective? And sometimes it might be, well, what am I missing? Like, can you maybe pressure test this a little bit for me? And being curious and just having fun with the dialogue, even instead of just saying, just accept what I have to say.
For sure,
In
yeah.
the conversation. Yeah.
okay, can I let the two of you pressure test something that I did here recently?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
This is not my wife that I had this conversation with, but I had someone named James who wrote to me cold, who said to me, hey, Mikey, just saw that Apple and Microsoft show up above you on Google when people search for leadership. So they're winning your potential business at the moment. I can create a review of your competition and show you all the missed opportunities to convert their customers instead.
He's totally a real person, not a bot.
Well, here, so I ignored it like you do, right? Because you get a few of those. And then he addressed me by name again and proved to me that he was actually talking about admired leadership because he used admired leadership in the next email that and then 2 days later, he sent a third email, right?
Right.
And that one just kind of ticked me off. He said, should I connect with someone else on your team about
that's a
boosting
common
your
one.
Google
Yeah, right,
visibility,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and that made me annoyed. And so I was like, I'm going to write this guy back, but I don't want to encourage his tactic.
Now,
I do want, what I do want to do.
By guy, you mean the machine that wrote this.
Well,
Yeah.
bear with me because
Okay.
I was open for the idea that this might have been an actual person. I do also know that somebody named James is actually going to read my reply, right?
Okay.
You don't think that? Okay, so I have a lot more trust in it. So this is my reply. I said, James, and I'm actually thinking of a person.
This is not my skeptical posture. I'm very open. Keep going.
I looked up James on LinkedIn, and it is a real person, and he is the CEO of this company, right?
Okay.
So I believe that, and I also believe that James is the only person in his company.
In his
right?
company, right?
Yeah. So I said, we don't know each other, right? Does this completely cold approach work for you? Because it's very off-putting for me, is what I told James.
Okay, great.
And I said, however, I'm the kind of person who can notice myself getting annoyed and actually not be annoyed. Like, I can scientifically observe myself getting my hackles raised without it affecting like my actual soul and mind and body, right? So I am demonstrating the behaviors of being annoyed, but I'm not actually annoyed. I'm actually more curious
About his
what
response. Right.
about what you're doing here. So I said, I'd rather ask you a few questions about how effective this approach is for you and how exactly I ended up in your target group. I don't think I would ever use your tactics. Certainly not these ones that you're using
Right.
on me. But while that sounds harsh, it isn't a rejection of you. Instead, I would like to get you off topic and understand the effectiveness of your tactics in your business.
Did
if
you
that
send
sounds
this?
like I did. If that sounds like a waste of time to you, then don't respond and please take
We've
me
lost
off
him,
your
Scott.
list.
He's gone, Scott. We've lost him. Yeah.
But if you're willing to give me a few basic stats from your, how you track your effectiveness and your credibility might rise back up, right? So I'm trying to get him off script. I said, but I'm willing to let you redeem yourself if you take your time, if you take me out of your icky sales funnel, right? And I ended with a smiley face and let him go. So he didn't respond right away, but my guess is that me taking him off script does the thing that we're told here in the field note. It reveals the facts and signals.
Okay.
Okay.
It frames why it hasn't caught my attention. And then I engage him in a shared curiosity.
Yes.
Right?
Now,
So
you have neatly worked in the three-legged stool of the principle here, which is great.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I was going to just with declamation say there will be nothing significant that comes out of this conversation, but that would be me looking into the future, and I want to be like, Mikey, I'm curious. I'll be interested to hear if you get a response.
yeah, I'm very curious to know if this actually
yeah.
does take him out of his AI generated process of just
Well, I think
spit
he
out
is an
emails.
AI, so I don't know that the AI might respond. But Heidi, to those points of the issue of the reveal the facts and signals, frame why it caught your attention, engage in the shared curiosity, and that's what the field note is saying, is that leaders should have that reveal, frame, engage posture in their mind. That seems like something that even sort of any leader at any level should be able to kind of begin to work into their style, right?
Sure. And it's just about just engaging folks in inquiry. And actually, Mikey, what piqued up for me, what got me interested is this question, like, how do we even get on their target list in the first place?
Right.
So you did
Right.
lead with curiosity, and you framed it in a way where there is some reciprocity, where we both can learn and continue this conversation. So it'll be interesting to see if James replies. And it's funny, sometimes these types of conversations that start one way actually may end up into a really nice relationship or, engagement.
Right.
Do you think, Heidi, that this works better for certain leaders in certain kinds of tracks? Like you can imagine certainly in some like military structures where there's sort of here's this, here's the order. It's like maybe that it doesn't work as well there. I don't know. Maybe it should. Or is it in smaller organizations, or should this be something that you can implement even in the most hierarchical of organizations?
Oh, I think you can absolutely institute this in hierarchical organizations, and you want to, because when there is hierarchy, you want to make sure that throughout the chain of command, that everyone is clear about purpose and they're clear about how decisions need to be made. And even if you think about this approach and apply it to a lot of tech companies or tech teams, use stand-ups as a way to really talk about like what's getting in the way. Don't just share about progress and report out, but I really want to understand where you're challenged so that we can have some crosstalk and learn from the team. So that's another example of how you could use this type of communication and curiosity to encourage more learning across a team or within an organization. For sure. Yeah.
I like it. One of the things that was in the news this week, a couple of days ago, David Chamberlain, who used to be an MD in our firm, and he works in crisis communications, and he had sent me this thing about Patagonia. And I don't know that I guess I probably had a couple of Patagonia things in my lifetime, but I'm not like rock climbing every day and that. I think we actually had admired leadership Patagonia vests at one point.
Oh.
I think they were Patagonia. But they had done a long time ago this sort of statement around microplastics, and they were kind of saying like, we're detecting this, we're seeing the facts and signals, and then they were inviting not just their clients but for a larger community. They were saying we're concerned about where this is going. This is the framing it, and then they were saying we should all be thinking about this. Now they did that years and years and years ago, and then they're like, here's our process. Well, this last week they kind of did their report card. I don't know how often they do this. Where they said, here's what we've been trying to do, and we're really good at this, and then we wanted to do this, and on this one, not even close. Like we're not even out of the starting gate on being so they're fully transparent about what's working and what is totally not working and what they're trying to do. And David Chamberlain was like, this is actually really good corporate communications. And I think it probably then scales down to any leader in this situation using this framework to say, I've been engaged on this idea. I thought it would go in this direction. And sometimes you are right, but sometimes you're like, but this didn't work out.
Right.
Engage them on that curiosity too.
Absolutely. Like what an opportunity, right? The fact that they're not only transparent that we got it wrong, but now let's engage the rest of the company on what is possible next, right? What did we learn from this? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, lean in. Well, Heidi, what are we seeing in the future of the marriage counseling that's going to be going on in the Ames
I
house?
don't know. I think we lost Mikey now, but I'm actually really curious I'm invested now what James is going to say. So see what you did, Mike.
James.
Yeah. No, I just think, I wrote my email before reading the field note, and I'm trying to shoehorn it in here, but I actually do feel like that's what I'm doing, right? And how you do it in the way you write your emails, and what this looks like even in the hallway. Like, a lot of it might just be getting people off script,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
How do
right,
you get
right.
people
I like
off
that.
of their normal script?
To look at something with a wider lens.
Yes.
All I'm going to say here at the end is, if James asks you to meet him at a Denny's restaurant by the turnpike, just skip that part.
Don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do
We'll
it.
see.
Yeah.
You just wait. The end of this story is going to be fantastic. You just wait.
Okay.
All right. Thank you both.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one. Happy
All right.
Thanksgiving. All
You
right.
too.
Take care.
Bye now.